Hey there, this is a video that's going to take a look at what's called the A-B motion in the German grip, and we're going to begin that motion in 2 steps without a stick at all, and we're going to discuss the motion, arm motion involved in creating a stroke in the German grip. So for starters, hold your arm out like so. My left arm, most of you are right-handers, so we're going to be mirror image. The idea is you're going to want to turn a doorknob. Now, when you turn the doorknob with your arm fully extended, you should be able to feel that turn all the way back here in your shoulder, okay? And so you can feel how everything is involved. The bicep, the forearm, and of course the hand. All of it is working together and turning very naturally and easily. Now, believe it or not, this is the motion we're going to use to create a stroke in the German grip. Okay, so keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to do is, remember this neutral position we've created in working on our taps and our throw-up exercise. So we're going to be in that position, but what I want you to do is put your hand on your pad. It's a little high for me because the angle of my camera is a little bit funky, but you'll get the general idea. Put your hand on your pad. Have the pad close enough that the hand is not, like your fingertips are not on the edge. And I'll try to lean this just a little closer. So hopefully you can see the pad a little bit better. All right, so now the idea is to turn that arm like so. And turn it back. We could turn. Now notice I'm still turning the bicep. I'm turning the bicep. You might want to put your hand on your bicep, your left hand on your right bicep, and you're going to turn outward. You see how I'm turning my arm outward? And then let the rest of the turn follow. See how the forearm is turning and the wrist and hand are turning. All right, so now I'm looking basically at my hand. My hand is facing me, okay? Notice that when I made this turn, my shoulder didn't lift or twist or bend at all. When I make this turn, it's very easy. Notice where my elbow ends up. My elbow ends up just right here. So I'm not, when I'm making this turn, lifting my shoulder or lifting my elbow or moving my arm forward in any way. Just feel this. You see how it's very relaxed here above the collarbone, okay? Now, what we're going to do is, remember that we're working on strokes. So the idea is that if we, let's just say this is a wind and an unwind. On the unwind, if we put a little more power into it, notice the hand comes down, turns, and smacks the drum. So a stroke, of course, is we are now setting up and then using downward force to strike. So how we're going to do this first part of the exercise is as follows. Take your left hand, your hand that's not in this position, and turn it up so your fingers are up, and then put it on the inside of your elbow. And what I want you to literally do is push your elbow out. So you're going to literally push as if you're forcefully pushing away from you with that left hand. And what I want you to begin to feel as you do that is basically that if you give it a little more oomph while you're unwinding, the downward force translates into your pad, okay? Now, another way you can feel this, because some people have a hard time with this, even though it seems pretty natural, is that you can come from underneath your elbow. So try this as well. Put your hand underneath your elbow, your left hand underneath your right elbow, and apply resistance so that when you go to this position here, it sort of has to pop out because you're holding it and resisting with this, your left hand, okay? So we're going to do this in time. We're going to set the click to 50. I don't have a click set up right now, but we're going to do this in time. So it's going to look like this. And one, and two. So I'm just trying a couple of different options. Eventually, though, I don't want you to have to either pull against your elbow or push against your elbow. I want you to just feel it naturally, okay? Now, the goal here is not to smack your pad as hard as you can with your hand. And what you might want to do, I just have a hat here, a wool cap, but just put something there because the goal is not to hit the pad or to think about what's happening other than you're creating downward force. Okay, and then eventually, you know, kind of from here. So again, we're going to do this at 50. You're going to separate it into two motions. So it's going to go and one, and two. Now notice I am creating downward force. If you're sort of just doing this, that is not what I want. What I want is for you to begin to feel what I call the kick of the elbow, right? So I'm either pushing the elbow out or I'm resisting and letting the elbow snap out on its own. So you've got to either really push. Lots of people just put their hand there and do this. Again, if you're not pushing, give that elbow some help. Give it a push or give it some resistance. In either case, you've got to get the unwind to turn. And remember, also you can put your hand here and feel the bicep turn, right? Feel the forearm turn, okay? And remember that when you turn, do not push your arm or elbow or shoulder up in the air. It's not about that. Notice there's nothing moving above my collarbone. I'm just getting the arm to turn like this. It's just now in this position. Now, once you do that, here's part two. Same exact motion, same exact exercise, except that when you come up, okay, so here we are. When you come up now, instead of turning the forearm, you're going to let the wrist fall forward on its own. And if you remember, you should have already started working on this deep release exercise and doing that without a stick if necessary. That's what you're going to feel as you come up. So this part two is going to look like this. And one, and two. Okay? Now what I want you to think about is that the wind up and the release of the hand, dead weight, it's as if a wall is pushing you up in the front and your hand is just falling over that wall. Okay? Think of that as a wind up. Let's use the analogy of a baseball pitcher. When a baseball pitcher winds up, it's very relaxed and easy until the moment, boom, they throw. When a golfer winds up, it's like an in-breath, and then the moment, boom, that's where the effort comes. So think of this as a wind up, and this as your throw. Wind up, easy, relaxed, everything's down, throw. Wind up, throw. Wind up, throw. You can also put your hand here, wind up. You can feel the bicep turn, right? Remember that in the front, this is hanging. It's as if a wall pushes up and there's zero tension, you're just hanging, okay? So the reason this is called the AB motion, just in summation, is because we are taking the motion of the taps that we have worked on, this idea. We're extending the release so the hand falls all the way. So that is the A motion. The B motion is the wind up and kick of the arm. Okay, so we aren't yet putting a stick in our hand, but we're feeling this release. And we're understanding how the rotation of the arm, the kick of the elbow, the resistance, the snap, the pop of the elbow is going to cause this to come down. Another way to think about this as you're going is to think of a vertical and a horizontal axis. So the hand moves on the vertical axis. You see that? It just goes up and down because what do we do when we play drums? Our hands go up and down. However, the elbow moves on a horizontal axis. So do you see how my elbow doesn't come up off the horizontal axis? It moves from side to side. Notice my shoulder doesn't come up. If you find that you're lifting or reaching forward, then try to see if you can just bring everything down and think of it as a turn. It will not, when I eventually get to the point where I'm playing a stroke, it doesn't look like my arm is turning, and it won't with yours either. But unless you start to begin to think about what's happening in these terms, we're going to get sidetracked when we get down the road. So this is the AB motion, the German grip, and once we get through this motion, we'll then be able to add a stick and start to strike the drum. Lo and behold, it's going to be awesome. All right, thanks for watching.